All right, some more breaking news on day 3 of NFL free agency. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Earlier today, we were talking about Darius Slay getting released by the Eagles. Appreciate everybody who watched the video, tuned into our live show, and now we're discussing another Eagles legend, like Jason Kelce this offseason, like Brandon Graham, returning to Philadelphia. Fletcher Cox re-signing with the defending NFC champions on a 1-year, $10 million contract. This is a move that I did not envision happening because I didn't think the Eagles were willing to pay $10 million for a year for Fletcher Cox, but he takes a hometown discount as he had bigger offers out there from teams like the New York Jets, and he once again continues his career with the Philadelphia Eagles, as over the last couple of years, that partnership has kind of been on a year-by-year basis. Before we dive into this, what it means, my thoughts on it, let's hear from you down in the comment section. Do you like the deal? You lost Javon Hargrave. Now you bring back Fletcher Cox. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Now some thoughts on this acquisition for Philadelphia. You lost Javon Hargrave, 4-year, $84 million contract to the San Francisco 49ers. That immediately made you a little bit thin at defensive tackle. And you've lost a couple of starters here on this defense. Javon Hargrave, TJ Edwards, Kaiser White, Marcus Epps. Some players have moved on elsewhere for a defense that's going to look a lot different in 2023. But with Fletcher Cox, you have that level of familiarity for a guy who's been here for more than a decade. Fletcher Cox, as for what he did in 2022, rebounded from a couple of down years in previous seasons. 43 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 7 sacks. That was up there with some of the best years that he's had from a sack production standpoint. 1 forced fumble. I think that Fletcher Cox really understood and realized that the pressure was on him to have to come back and have a big year if he wanted to cash in, because he has not been elite by any standards over the last couple of years, but last year he was actually pretty solid. And you look at the defensive tackle position now with Hargrave going to the Bay Area. You have Jordan Davis. You drafted him last year in the first round for a reason. Milton Williams has flashed for me the last couple of years since he was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles. Now you enter Fletcher Cox into the equation, and what now happens? Do you go searching for a cheap veteran? Do you draft a rookie? A lot of people have been talking about Jalen Carter, including yours truly. He sucked today at his pro day. He was winded. He came in 9 pounds overweight, could not finish drills because he was too tired and fatigued. That is a problem. That is a red flag. Conspiracy theory, maybe he's doing that so that he falls to the Eagles at number 10. All jokes aside, that's not a good sign for me. Is he for real, though? You get involved in the legality situation that he got involved in the drag racing that resulted in the 2 deaths of the people from the Georgia Bulldogs, a staff member and a player following the national championship parade. We'll see what happens with the Eagles in the NFL draft. I think they should go corner and draft a cornerback for the first time since 2003, and maybe they now bypass on Jalen Carter and go free agency route with defensive tackle now that Fletcher Cox is back into the equation. This is why you subscribe to the show. The news broke that Fletcher Cox is back for another year, and we're doing a video. It's Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Let's get to 50,000 subs as soon as possible. As far as the Eagles culture goes, it was special last year. That's a big reason why this team had the season that it did. And credit to Nick Sirianni for building up this culture like he's built over the last 2 years. That's a big reason why this team has had success. And players love him. He loves the players. And I do believe that that's really important. That cannot be understated. But losing a lot of members this year is this Eagles roster, and that does affect the culture a little bit. Yet, while you lose some important pieces, you still retain Eagles legends, Jason Kelce, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, who have now all been with this organization since the early 2010s. For Brandon Graham, drafted in 2010. Jason Kelce, 2011. Fletcher Cox, 2012. Historical runs for these guys, and that's why fans have an infatuation with these players. Now, according to reports out there, the Jets were willing to go higher for Fletcher Cox. That's a team that's ready to win right now. They might officially trade for Aaron Rodgers. After all that speculation, it looks as though the holdup in that deal just comes down to compensation. That's a team that's ready to compete. But Fletcher Cox wanted to stay with the Philadelphia Eagles. And what's wild is that what I just got done talking about, with all these players being here since the early 2010s, when Andy Reid was still the head coach, is this upcoming season in 2023 finally going to be it for Jason Kelce, Fletcher Cox, and Brandon Graham? Maybe. I so badly wanted the Eagles to win a Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs just to see both, or all those three players, win a second championship. That puts them in a different stratosphere, not just in this organization, obviously, with only one Super Bowl, but among all NFL legends who have stayed with their respective teams from when they were drafted to when they ended their careers. And shout out to Howie Roseman for operating his business tactics in this manner, because that's how players respect the Eagles. That's why they're one of the most well-run organizations in this game, is that they treat their alumni very, very well. And they're doing that once more with all three of these players by retaining them, but also putting them in a pretty good financial spot. Only 6 defensive tackles last year had more sacks than Fletcher Cox. Hargrave was one of them with 11. Fletcher Cox had those 7. He needed a rebound season. He got it. And he gave the Eagles a hometown discount and comes back for an 11th year. And you think about the grand scheme of things, the macro look at Fletcher Cox's career. First round pick in 2012, right? 2018 first team All-Pro. Keep in mind that during this era, it's been him and Aaron Donald. Those were the 2 best defensive tackles for a really long time. A 3-time second team All-Pro. So Fletcher Cox now coming back for an 11th season, and you're looking at a guy that has made 3 second team All-Pros and a 1-time All-Pro 4 times in his 12-year career now, or his 11th year, that he has been an All-Pro type of player. Member of the 2010s All-Decade team and 65 tackles throughout his career. And he's going to go down as one of the best Eagles defenders that we have ever seen. That number 91, it's legendary. And it's funny because oftentimes when people buy jerseys, they get a quarterback, a wide receiver, a running back. Jason Kelce, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, it's not like they play quote-unquote sexy positions, but the number 91, the number 55, the number 62, special numbers for the real ones who love this football team. So you look at the Eagles free agency tracker, updated as of 7 o'clock Eastern time here on Wednesday, March 15th, day 3 of NFL free agency as the new league year started just a couple of hours ago. Upon this recording, Brandon Graham back on a 1-year, $6 million deal. Jason Kelce back on a 1-year, $14.25 million deal. Brett Toth is back with the Eagles. Rashad Penny, very affordable contract. Boston Scott inks a 1-year, $2 million deal. James Bradberry, the splashiest signing so far. 3 years, $20 million in guaranteed money. Fletcher Cox, 1 year, $10 million. Hopefully next, we're talking about CJ Gardner-Johnson coming back to the Birds as well. Before we hop on out of here, subscribe to the show. This is Philadelphia Eagles Now. Nobody's better in the YouTube game as far as content creators, in my opinion. So for those of you who support the show and those of you who are still watching right now, give me a real one down in the comment section. Real one, roll call. Go Birds.